Hi, thank you so much for coming back to Sarita Talks. I have some awesome guests, and this is one of them. Her name is Abbie Kaufmann, and she is a wellness coach. Now, a lot of people in this Columbia atmosphere, and it's getting nationwide. I did a TEDx. I recently spoke at a donor breakfast, professional fundraiser here. But let's lead out to why it's so important that I'm talking about all the things that I've got to do. It's because I got to do something with Abbie here. It was a Wholeness 8 conference, and it was really based upon health and well-being. So, just the message of inspiration and transformation, it really covers so many different levels. So I really had to have her come on and tell us about it. Abbie, if you want to just start what brought you into the atmosphere of, health and wellness and how that went. Tell us, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. So yes, I'm a holistic wellness coach and trainer, and I've been teaching the last 8 years. I currently teach part-time at Mizzou.
Oh, nice.
And so my teaching career really started at the San Diego Center for Children, and it was a school that was helpful for kids who had pretty significant trauma and had pretty rough backgrounds. And so we really blended academics with social emotional learning just because these kids needed quite a bit. And so at that time in my life, my husband was also deployed. And so I was really navigating a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression and a lot of burnout. And that really propelled me into the world of wellness. And I got really interested in holistic healing. I got really into yoga, meditation, mindfulness, and I just saw so much benefit for my own mental health. And I then kind of taught in a lot of different schools in quite a few different settings. And that really then led me to studying school psychology actually at Mizzou.
Nice.
Because I love the intersection of education with psychology. And I also love like a blend of holistic healing and wellness. And so I was kind of looking for a path that I could really merge all of my interests. And that really took me to holistic wellness coaching and training, because then I can blend the psychology, the education, and really create great content and curriculum for people. I love developing curriculum.
Yes.
And I can also really focus on those holistic healing methods with yoga, meditation, mindfulness. And so, that's kind of what brought me to where I'm at.
That's awesome. Now, she makes content. She likes to write curriculum. Tell us your contact info for the first time, because I don't want to lose anybody before they get that.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram or my website. Both are Embody by Abbie, EMBODY by BY, and then Abbie, ABBIE.
Yeah. And it's a nice website. I'm a little envious. Now, let me just kind of circle back to the pillars of health and wellness and how it is so tied into your mental health. Just being healthy physically is only one aspect. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, that's really what I do love. I love the holisticness of just our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, our spiritual health. All of these things are so intertwined and interconnected. And so I've really found that we can't really just focus on one aspect of health because they're so interconnected with one another. And so that's why I really like having more of a holistic and comprehensive view of health. So then we can really get all of these areas in order. So then that's when we really start to
dig in.
Difference.
And it's a journey. And one of the things I said as I was a speaker at the same event, which is really where I got to see Abbie do some fabulous work. I kept saying that, everything, it's a journey. Like, we don't say, or unless you're, a superhuman, like, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 1 month. That's not how that happens. You have to start slowly, same with your mental health. You can try and dive in and unpack all of your issues in one session, and that's not going to work very well for you. So you have to realize that everything is a step, but you're moving towards the right direction, so Can you add a little to that?
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, Sarita, because that's so important. I've also done like a lot of work in behavior change just with working in schools. And that is something too that I've noticed a lot about is like we wanted these new habits to come about. And then we're just like, I'm going to go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
But it's really about making just a small shift, even just a 2 millimeter shift, and just chunking it into really small steps. So then it's not putting us in a state of overwhelm, right? And then we're just overwhelmed and we think that that we're not able to do these things when we really can. And so it's even just starting so small. Like if you just want to start an exercise practice and you haven't been exercising at all, even just starting with like rolling your yoga mat out every morning and not even getting on it, right? Just start it, roll it out, and then you just slowly chunk more and more. So then you can begin to slowly build a habit. Yeah. Because that's really the sustainable way of just maintaining our health. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to break that down to just as far as being overwhelmed. Sometimes we get so bogged down with being overwhelmed, and you have a sink full of dishes, okay? And things are, a little in disarray, or they're in big disarray. Go into that kitchen and do 2 of those dishes. Do 3 of them. And then if there's something that you can walk by and pick up. It's like you can graze on food all day. You can graze on your tasks. And they don't all have to be completely done, but you've started. Now, we're working towards a finish. We always want to be working towards or just continued growth to where we don't let the dishes get out of control, but just making that simple effort, and it's the small victories. A lot of people say, write those victories down. Do you do anything with journaling or?
Yeah. So I can speak to a couple of things with that. Yes, definitely good. The celebrating the small wins and just the small steps along the way, especially with me just really starting my business within the last year. I feel like that's something that I've really had to lean into of like celebrating those small wins, and that it can just be the simple thing of like doing your dishes and what we're essentially doing is we're building momentum, which then makes the other more challenging tasks a little bit easier because we're already going in with that momentum. So once we
unroll the yoga mat, the next day, child's pose. Come on. Listen, you know anything about yoga? You can do child's pose. Okay. You can do child's pose, and then you get up into angry cat, laughing cow, downward facing dog. It's just a process. It really is. Now, I have no problems telling anyone that I'm a believer. So spiritual has a lot to do with that too. There's so many different aspects. So we got physical, we have holistic healing, which I feel like a lot of times, if you have something that you can tap into that's greater than yourself, then that will get you a long way. What am I missing? Because we hit mental health. What am I missing?
Yeah. So at least for me, whenever I am really thinking about like 5 facets, I'm really thinking about mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and energetic. And of course, financial health can go in there and other aspects of health.
Sexuality. And I didn't make this up. Okay. So if sex is a problem in your relationship, then it is 95% of the relationship. But if it's not a problem, it's 5% of the relationship. The same pertains to finances. If there's a problem with finances in your relationship, it's 95%. But if finances aren't a problem, it's 5%. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? Like it can dominate. So we definitely want to throw financial in there and, just relationships. Relationships. And this is another thing I want to speak to, the circle of excellence. I feel like this, and I heard it from a dear gentleman who's no longer with us, David Strumpf. He said, surround yourself with the people that are different than you, but are doing things that all will better you. You always want to be around people that are iron sharpens iron. So do you want to speak to relational wellness?
Yeah, you're bringing up so many great points. Yes.
I'm glad.
Yes, relational wellness is so important. And a lot of times when our physical, mental, and emotional health is good, our relational health is also good. So emotional and relational health are so interconnected.
Yeah.
And And so when we really take care of our emotional health, our relationships also help. And relationships in general are just a huge protective factor in
Oh,
general
nice.
and are really helpful for our health in general, right? We're
Yeah,
hardwired to be connected to other people.
that's true.
And so even if it's just like connecting to people on the street, smiling, waving, talking to the barista at the coffee shop you go to,
Yeah.
having your conversations with your friends and partner. And that can be a really great coping strategy too, whenever we're just like not feeling great mentally or
Yeah.
emotionally, reaching out to a friend and just processing the situation. That really does a lot for all
It
aspects
does.
of our
It
health.
does. And you know what? We always, okay, that's where the work bestie came from. I'm sure that's where the work bestie came from, because we all navigate to that one person who sometimes we need them to talk us down, unfortunately, but that can relate to us in that workspace, and who understands what we're saying and about, situations and things like that. The same pertains to, and in my case, I have a rich community of just different kinds of people, and that's okay. Like, I have my friends from church, but I also got my secular friends. They like to drink a little bit. It's fine, and I have my work people, and that's a good thing too. Let me just tell you, separate your groups and feel good about it. Not everybody has, just because I'm your friend doesn't mean I have to be friends with someone else, or they have to be friends with me. I feel like that's a good thing too. And don't feel as though, oh, I feel bad I didn't invite her to this, or I didn't invite him to this. That situation wasn't right. And maybe, that circle of excellence it can pertain to all of these different, whether it be your job, whether it be your, your personal life with your secular friends or your sacred friends, just don't limit yourself. Now, would you like to say a few words about how we limit ourselves? Because how do we get to the wellness coach? How do we get to the point where we know, well, clearly it's there's a lot building up to that. Tell us some of the things you've experienced.
That's a really great question. So I think where my mind immediately goes to that is when we're thinking about how we limit ourselves is really like, what are the belief systems that we're operating in? What sorts of limiting beliefs do we have about ourselves that we might have just picked up along the way, and they weren't even our beliefs to have. And so sometimes if we're not aware of those and we're not questioning them, or we haven't yet built that awareness, we're really operating from those beliefs, right? Those beliefs create our thoughts, our emotions, and then our actions. And so really taking a look at what are those beliefs you have about yourself, about other people, about the world, and just really beginning to build that awareness, just awareness first, and just seeing what comes up. But that really is a huge way that we can really hold ourselves back from putting ourselves out there and doing the things that we want to do, and just being vulnerable in general.
And I like that you've done some psychology, so you already know about the self-fulfilling prophecy, that people can put a lot of junk on you. A lot of people that watch the show know that I'm a formerly incarcerated person, and I was so scared that those stigmas would continue on with me. But I had to release myself. I had to not limit me. I was the only one limiting me. I was, because of fear. So I feel like a lot of people are mired in fear, or someone has told them things that are not true about themselves, or were true at that moment and are no longer true. It's okay to embrace that you've changed, and that not everybody around you will see you as the new you too. And that's probably a whole nother show. But I really like that it's what we tell each other. It's what we tell ourselves, and I always had a boss and in this job right here. And I used to tell her, I'm going places. I'm doing things. I'm doing things. I'm going places. So it was important for me to make sure that, I kept that in my mind, that this was not the end. This was the beginning. So if we could tell your perspective, who is the prospective wellness client? This is where you say everyone.
Oh,
but,
yeah, that's a great question. So really someone who, well, one is just interested in being healthier, happier, more connected, I've noticed that you really have to have that desire and that motivation to want it. Otherwise, there's really only so far that we can get.
Yeah.
If you're just really looking to improve your life, be, like I said, happier, healthier, more connected, and also learn a lot of strategies to help you have sustainable habits, healthy living. Like I mentioned, I've been a teacher for several years. And so that really is a pivotal foundation about like how I interact and engage. I really want to teach people the skills.
Yeah.
I kind of see like if I have a client for several years, then I'm not doing my job. I really want to teach you the skills that you can have a healthy habits that really allow you to have the life that you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a genuine feeling to someone who doesn't want you to have to always utilize their services. For someone to realize that you need to plateau, you need to get to that point where, hey, you don't need me. You're doing this all by yourself. And the willingness to tell them is so authentic. Oh, Abbie, tell us how to get a hold of you one more time, please.
So on Instagram, you can find me at Embody by Abbie. Same with my website, Embody by Abbie. Feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to tell you more about what I do. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This won't be the last time. Okay.
Okay. Great.
And I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and let you know that Sarita Talks, we're going to be talking about so many different aspects of wholeness, well-being, healing, just moving towards the next step. And I'm so glad that you continue to tune in as the show evolves and moves on to the next step. And see you again soon. Hold on.